Dhyanamulam Gurumurti Pujamulam Guru Padam Mantramulam Guru Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripa Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Hari Om. So today, I would like to begin with a story, and you can say this is a children's story. Later on, let's see what your opinion is about. So the story is that there was a small lake, and in that lake lives a frog. And on the edge of the lake, there was a mouse. The frog was swimming in the lake, and the mouse was running around. As the time go by, they develop friendship. Mouse was wondering, it is so nice that the frog can swim and go one place to the other while I take time to walk. So mouse requested frog, I said, please teach me how to swim. And the frog says, okay. So both of them, they decided that let us tie our legs together, and as the frog swims, the mouse will swim. So while they were doing this, a vulture or an eagle was flying about. He saw the frog and dived straight on the surface and grabbed the mouse, but along with the mouse also came the frog. So you can say the eagle had lunch and dinner both together. The story pretty much ends here, but in the story, it has been stated that people with dissimilar nature, dissimilar interest, and dissimilar status must not move together, or they should not have the friendship. It is a children's story, 10-15 lines only, but I think it is way more applicable to we adults. No comparison, and try not going after somebody, comparing their life and trying to change your lifestyle. When I was young, my father used to tell me one-liner or two-liner. First, I will say it in Gujarati, then I will translate for you, because that's how he said to me. And he says, Lamba bhero tuko bhade, mare ni to mando pade. Meaning, literal translation, word by word, if a fellow is tall and the other one is short, whereby he meant, different behavioral pattern, lifestyle. So when a short fellow moves with the long fellow, or a poor fellow moves with a richer fellow, Maranito mando pade. If he doesn't die, then at least he will fall sick. So to say, literally, if you take this story, say you happen to find a multi-millionaire Beverly Hills celebrity, and they can invite you a couple times to the party. You go to their party, but even once in 10, 15 years, can you imagine if you have to invite him or her to your party and you cannot afford their lifestyle? Or even when you go to their lifestyle, you may not have a decent car, you may not have so-called high-priced clothing and others, so you try to pretend to be a suitable candidate in the party, and you overdo yourself and you kill yourself, so to say. And this can be anything, whereby looking at somebody, looking at their prosperity, looking at their efficiency, looking at their interest, if you try to copy, you know what can happen. Let's take a simple example, that if a strawberry farm worker thinks of having a fancy computer or a fancy telephone, you can imagine that him spending $1,200 to $2,000 either on the phone or the computer. And he barely makes whatever is the minimum amount of waging. So he may have to borrow the money and he may have to pay the interest and whatnot. So he may have to cut short on his food and basic necessity while paying the fancy interest. And or an average person, if he buys a bigger mansion, so it almost looks like he's leaving for the bank and for the insurance company. And one may have to do double and triple jobs just to pay the mortgage. Another similar one, and then we'll talk about this detail, and your participation later in last 10 minutes will be appreciated. And that is two mother-in-law, my famous character, two mother-in-law happen to meet and they are talking about, both being mother-in-law, they have daughter-in-law. Now, both the daughter-in-law, they have their own characteristic. Number one and number two, let's put it this way. So number one, she was brilliant and peacekeeper. So no matter what her mother-in-law, so mother-in-law number one, cooks, she will never complain that today it is spicy or it's not spicy, the salt is more or blah, blah, blah. And she will take it, whatever mother-in-law, or she will treat it as mother, cooks, it is like a blessed food. And at least we are getting the food on the table. We must never complain or we must never insult. And as a result, she would not complain. Mother-in-law number two and daughter-in-law number two. Daughter-in-law will respect mother-in-law and will say that, mother, is it okay if I may put little more salt into the soup? And mother-in-law tastes and says, yeah, it's good. But as a result, what over the course of time developed, that she started making all the food for her taste, and she cannot stand anything out of her taste. And she would not take it as a blessed food or God's food. So when these two mother-in-law met, number one says, my daughter-in-law, even though she's a physician, but she's so dumb she cannot even taste any food. While the other one says, my daughter-in-law, she's so smart. She figures out what is leaking and what. So both the mother-in-law started talking about their daughter-in-law and comparing. When they started comparing, the second daughter-in-law was thinking, how sweet is your daughter-in-law that, she tolerates everything and she does not complain. While the first daughter-in-law says that my daughter-in-law, even though she's brilliant, but she's so dumb she doesn't know the difference. Now, really speaking, what we heard so far, who is dumb and who is not? Each one of them, they have their own characteristic. You can treat the first daughter-in-law as dumb person, but she is a peace lover, peace prevailing, and accepting anything and everything is the gift of God. So from that perspective, point of view, that daughter-in-law feels so peacefully blissful inside. While the other second daughter-in-law, second mother-in-law feels that how nice is your daughter-in-law because she does not say anything. And number one, mother-in-law thinks that she is dumb. She doesn't know how to cook. Whereby it is the point of view whereby you could see the world how you want to see. Daughter-in-law feels that it is a blessed food and we need to accept and eat whatever that comes along. While the second one wanted to fix it. And she is not spiritual, not religion. She may sometimes feel upset with her mother-in-law. But over here, on the first one, she wants to feel that my daughter-in-law is dumb. Now you tell me, and you decide, all of you, all the 13 of you, we'll have a slight discussion on it. And then after 8:30, you just apply these two stories in your life, and what do you prefer? Do you prefer perfection? Do you prefer peace? Do you prefer inner enrichment? Do you prefer sunyam, purnam? Do you prefer satisfaction? Or you want to keep on continuously feeling insufficiency? So now I will open, and if some of you wants to discuss, these are just my view. And when I heard that children's story, I like it so much, and I thought it could be a life learning lesson. Even though the story is for children, and those of you happen to be of Indian origin, it is from Hitopadesha. So let me change this view to all right. Let me tell you, you can apply spirituality in your day-to-day life. And you may not want to discuss this with everybody because everybody may not like it, but I love those two stories. All right, let me begin with Vijay. What do you think and how would you apply? And this only if you feel like sharing, okay?
Namaste, Suneji.
I cannot hear you.
Okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I think something's wrong with his.
Hello, hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Suneji,
No.
can you hear me?
Hold on, I'm sorry. My mistake, go for it.
Okay. Kind of, in general, my philosophy is I don't complain about food, like whether it is spicy, less salt, or more salt. The reason is this. Whoever cooks, like, daughter-in-law, wife, mother, anybody, that is the only time I will have that. That will not be repeated next meal, that one. So why should I worry about it, make it an issue if it's not going to happen again? So, and like, indirectly, I'm grateful for the food on the table at that time. So that's what I always believe. I never complain about food.
Very good. Now understand, please understand, I do not want theoretical answer. I want each one of us to take it seriously and sincerely applicable to each one of us. And in case we are not currently of the opinion how we can be peaceful and blissful. That's the intention. Again, understand this point. Okay, Nainaben. And this not only pertains to food, but for everything.
I didn't hear the first story, Sonaji. I had a problem with the voice, so I missed it.
Okay, all right. Briefly speaking, a mouse who is the land animal and a frog, which is a water animal, they became friends. They started swimming together. Mouse doesn't know how to swim, so mouse and frog joined their feet together. They were jumping, and an eagle flew over. Eagle loves mouse, so wanted to grab mouse. While grabbing the mouse, the frog got grabbed too. So the eagle had lunch and dinner both simultaneously. In other words, land animal became friend with the water animal. These two together doesn't go well, and they suffer. Go ahead now.
I think that we have to keep our limitation and see whom we want to keep a company with. That's the first lesson. Maybe second story that I should not complain for the food, and I think just respect other people's feeling.
Okay, very good. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, and again, understand, please. Okay, you can answer theoretically, but see how we can apply in our life. Mukesh.
Hey, Sonaji. For the first story, I agree that I think we should we should stay with find our own like-minded, like-interest people, because there will be a lot of unintended consequences that we are not aware of. And
say it once
if you
more.
are,
You said it so beautifully. Repeat that sentence, all of us, please.
so by associating ourselves with somebody that we are not familiar with, there are a lot of unintended consequences that we are not aware or intend to suffer or experience. And that's where the problem begins, because then in that situation, we don't know how to react. And if the consequences of the situation arises in front of us, we will be completely lost, or we might do something that we don't intend to do, which might be harmful for us. And it could come in the way, like, if you're on a spiritual path and you go and hang out with people who are not on a spiritual path, and you may end up you may end up exposing yourself for something that you didn't intend to. So that's the first thing. With the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law story, I think the daughter-in-law who kept asking her mother-in-law for her taste, I thought she was very considerate of her mother-in-law's feelings. She was thinking about not only herself, but her mother-in-law's taste. So the lesson here is to be mindful and not to only think about ourselves, and see how other people would like and how other people would think. We are thinking beyond ourselves, basically. You're not selfish, you're selfless in that
And
situation.
please understand, these are not the story to be kept and apply in the life. Jayshree.
I'm probably going to say the opposite of everything.
Oh, very good. Good to hear.
And I apologize. I know it
No,
doesn't sound
no,
nice.
don't worry. We learn a different angle. Go for it.
I don't know, like, okay, so I didn't grow up with a mouse and frog story, but I felt like, uh, you know, sometimes it's okay to be with some another mind, another like say not like-minded people, because it expands your mind, it opens it up for further ideas, as long as you don't get consumed by it. And now, if like, for example, you get hurt because like the eagle got the both of them, that's life. I mean, you're gonna get hurt some other way, you know, even with like-minded people. No one's gonna satisfy you completely. So I feel like um, at the end of the day, I feel your own inner strength is more important, and keep to your, you know, keep your own characteristic without I don't know. You can be friends with a rich person and not follow them. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't have to be obsessive or jealous. You know, why can't, so if you're strong in that, I think there's nothing wrong with mixing with all kinds of people.
And I think you and Mukesh are saying the same thing, but you introduced a very beautiful point. There's nothing wrong in having the friendship with the other, so far as you do not get carried away with their lifestyle and you know your limitation. Excellent.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe one day you influenced them,
Exactly.
you know, and they became better.
So the point is, be self-aware, know your limitations and know your strength. Good point. Next, anything else?
Next is the other story, the mother-in-law story. Okay, yes, you have to be respectful. I agree with that. There's, but you need to talk it out with your mother-in-law. If you don't like your, I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo.
Okay, doesn't matter. Naina Shah has two instruments going on. So she wants to.
I'm going to.
Infinity.
Yeah, so she wants to get double the benefit.
She wasn't talking again.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just you turn off one of them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Joycey, just cut one off. Okay.
With the mother-in-law situation, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, I think it's perfect that you don't fight over small things like, you know, obviously she's older and wiser and, you know, give her the respect. But there's nothing wrong in introducing new ideas. You can't be saying, okay, 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 all the time either. I don't know. I just feel like no one grows. She doesn't learn. You're just a yes man. So I feel like just with a piece of it, I think then everything's stagnant instead of some growth. But why can't anybody, why can't two people talk to one another and educate one another without animosity?
And this is the key, without animosity. So sense of respect, how you say, how you exchange the idea. Thank you, dear. Maheen. Only if you have questions, I mean, suggestion. No sound, unmute. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Go ahead.
But I didn't get both of them very well because I just got back. I wasn't here. Anyway, from what I heard so far, you and other people, to me, the both story main thing I took from it was seeing yourself in others and respect and understand and try to connect that way, seeing yourself in others. And the second one is to surrender, to like mother-in-law's story, surrender so you will find out more about yourself and what's around you.
Very good point. Okay, Maheen.
Hari Om.
Subhash. Suhash iPhone. Suhash, can you talk? If not, I go to Chris. Suhash may be driving. So Chris, could you please unmute and say anything you want to say?
Sure. Just the second story I had a lot of problems with. So I was having trouble figure out who the first mother-in-law was and the daughter-in-law and the second-in-law. I was getting all screwed up.
Yes,
So I don't have any comments on that. I'm sorry, I'm just a little thick. But on the first one, I think the point of that for me was that you're in danger if you get away from your center.
beautiful.
If you know who you are and stick to who you are, you won't have the danger of being killed. But there are all these things that we want to do when we compare ourselves to others. We think we're not good enough. Like the mouse didn't think he was good enough because he wanted to swim, do something outside of his, and he's not a swimmer. He wanted to do something outside of his natural abilities. And once you start doing that and start comparing yourself to others and say, I need that, I need the bigger house, I need more education, I need a better job, I need more money, it never ends. And you end up dying.
Beautiful. Good point. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Pushpa-ben.
About the mouse and frog,
Yes.
I think people ahead of me have already said things, but I'll just say that mouse was not satisfied with what he had.
Very good.
So he wanted to do something that his friend has. And that's where we go wrong.
Okay. Not knowing one's own limitations.
Right. And
Very good point. Okay, Shaili.
The second one.
Okay, oh, sorry, second one. Go ahead, Pushpa-ben.
second one is if daughter-in-law, the second daughter-in-law, who's asking her mother-in-law for her taste and everything, if the daughter-in-law is happy doing that and not be sad, then that's fine. But if she's not, she's unhappy because she has to change things and all that, then she's inviting misery.
Okay,
And first daughter-in-law, she's the way she is. She likes to be at peace and she's paying the price for that. And she likes peace, so that's fine. Thank you.
all right, good. Shaili,
I joined a little late, so I'm just listening.
that's okay. You heard pretty much, so on that, what do you have to say? And if you don't have to say Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So I'm feeding you a simple answer.
She did
So
say Hari Om.
any other comments, Shaili?
Hari Om, Hari Om.
No, now you have to say something. That was my answer.
Honestly, I didn't listen to the stories, so it'll be difficult for me to comment. But I'm
Okay.
listening to what everyone's comments are. They're interesting.
Okay, good. Just last time, Suhash, if you can talk. Okay, Shekhar Bhai.
Hari Om Bhai.
Yeah.
In the first story about the frog and a mouse, before you get into anything, you must know your true abilities and respect the abilities and never had to compete and not knowing the ultimate purpose of jumping in, learning swimming. There was no need for the mouse to jump in the water or learn something because his territory was land and he was so expert in land. So I would say one must be content about what he can do and what she can do and be in harmony with her own discipline and boundaries. And
Okay.
other stories are very, very common stories, and I guess they work together and iron out the path that the family can live, though idealistic, can live in a peace and harmony. Everybody had really commented quite well. So I think ultimately essence of these stories are to find way the path to be harmony and know your limitation and go by that. Hari Om.
Hari Om. So I think we all learned well. We know our limitation. You can explore the horizon. You may want to learn, but not at the cost of killing yourself. Okay? And the mother-in-law, typical stories, and this is day-to-day life. Let me tell you, it is irrespective of, no matter I may make it into jokes, but I get at least one story a week of that nature. People complaining, and then they may have diabetes and hypertension and this and that. But in the root of it is so-called mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Anyhow, so let us learn something and let us not pay the price. We all love to do meditation, but understand, as Shekhar Bhai often says, reduce your expenses. In the back of your mind, your mother-in-law is continuously going on, and then you want to learn meditation to reduce your blood pressure. It's not going to happen. It may still help you, but mother-in-law supersedes everything. So understand, it can be mother-in-law, it can be boss, can be your friend, can be your children. Are you ready to pay the price? And what is important in the life?